car. We can drive all night. We can count the stars until the sunrise fills the sky and hides the moon. It's just me and you. Just me and you. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming.
Please welcome to the stage ExactTarget Marketing Cloud Senior Vice President of Product Management, Greg Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. For those of you who are watching the video, I just want to clarify, this is not the matchmaking session. The matchmaking session happens later tonight during the cloud crawl, so feel free to come for that. No, we want to start with that because it's a really cool video, I think, kind of talking about the customer experience on social and all the different things that you can do. But we want to talk about that theme of the customer journey in social as we go through today. First thing I wanted to say is thank you. Thank you all for coming this week. For those of you who have been customers who've worked with us for a long time, I want to say thank you for all your ideas and the commitment that you've shown to us. We've spent the last year and a half, 2 years doing some fundamental transformations in the product, and so it's been great to have you be part of that process, and we appreciate all your ideas and your feedback. We talked about this morning. I think the key theme we want to tie into is really thinking about how social affects the customer journey, and want to get a little bit more into detail as we go through that today. So if you think about that process that we showed earlier today in the keynote, it's actually, social is a part of the customer journey in different ways as you go through that journey. So if you think about very early on in the purchase consideration process, people today are using social media to try and understand what things they should buy, what products they should select, asking their friends for recommendations. And so you see here somebody who's trying to get more feedback and understand a particular category, a particular product, and that's a great opportunity for you to help educate your buyers, prospective buyers, or educate them and connect them with others as well. Second, when you think about people then going to purchase, using social marketing as a way to drive key calls to action and brand awareness is really, really compelling, especially as you look across the different social networks. And then also being able to care for customers. Increasingly people today are turning to social channels as a way for them to interact with the brand, get support, get service. It's not just about the web or chat or email or voice. People are turning to Twitter and Facebook in droves in order to help get service and support. And then finally, it's really about amplifying those great customer experiences. When you have a brand who expresses that type of feedback on a social channel, it's a great opportunity to share that and help other people see how much your customers love you. So I want to talk a little bit more again about the themes we mentioned this morning around why managing social is more difficult than ever today. And part of the reason I want to do that is we've been thinking a lot about this as we build the next generation of our products. Before I go into any meeting with customers like yourself, before I start talking about products and features and roadmap, one of the things I like to do is say, these are the problems we're trying to solve. Are these the problems that you're having? Because if we solve different problems than the one that you're having, we're ultimately not going to build the right product for you. So these are the problems that we think about a lot. I want to talk a little bit about how we think about them. And then when Ryan comes up in a minute and shows you the product, it'll really help you understand why we've designed the product the way we have. So the first one is really just around this explosion of social adoption and social data, right? We all know that the amount of conversations that are happening is just dramatically increasing. And then one thing we didn't talk about this morning that's clearly happening as well is you're just having networks in places where conversations are happening, sort of rising and falling over time, right? So obviously no one today really uses MySpace as a core part of their customer engagement strategy unless you're in the music industry. The MySpace has really evolved to focus on a particular vertical. If you think about things like Snapchat and WhatsApp that were mentioned earlier, those things didn't exist 4 or 5 years ago. So sort of the evolution and the changing of networks is really important as you think about how do you reach your customers, how do you manage your presence across more networks, how do you stand out from the crowd when more and more people are talking on social and more brands are there too. The other one that we hear very clearly across the board is really how the role of the social media team has changed. And social is no longer just about marketing, it's really about business and embedding social in every single aspect of your business processes. And so what that has meant for people there are probably many social media specialists in the room, what we've heard from you is that it used to be that you did all the work, like you ran social strategy and you ran social execution. And now what we see in many of our customers is that you're becoming sort of the strategic arm of social strategy and really guiding people on what to do, but increasingly you have to get a lot of other people executing. And so social is becoming part of the core business fabric of the organization. It's no longer contained in a tiny little team. And so that means you need to be able to help align teams, you need to help them govern, you need to have visibility into what's going on, but also provide a level of autonomy so your different teams can go execute. And again, that's sort of a core part of the product that we've been working on, is to help find that right balance between overall administration and oversight, but with the right level of team-level autonomy when you have multiple departments or multiple product lines or multiple brands or geographies. How do you find that right balance? Another key thing here is just seeing a lot of interaction with agencies as well, right? Agencies are a core part of the process. They're helping you build creative, they're helping you do analytics, and finding the right way to engage with agencies on the technology platform is key. And then third, and one that's very important for not only how we think about your business applications, but also how we think about ExactTarget and Salesforce more broadly, is social data and social apps really need to tie into all the different technologies you're using in your organization. So I'll talk about a few examples. We have lots and lots of customers who take social listening data and bring that into their analysis of the customer. They might have a consumer insights team where they're looking at survey data, they're looking at call center data, they're looking at email data. They also want to bring social data in as part of that feedback. You heard Maggie from Kempton talk about how important feedback is. And so bringing social data into those systems is really critical. Also looking at leveraging content. You hear us talk about content as sort of a key pillar of the Marketing Cloud. Being able to leverage content that you might develop for one channel, for your website, or for mobile, email, and being able to pull that and use that in social and vice versa is really key as well. And then really about CRM, because ultimately, you need to be infusing social data against the people that you're interacting with. And so I think about the fact that, I meet with lots of customers and lots of partners every day, and I want to be able to understand what's going on with them in terms of social. It helps me give an insight into who they are. And it may not help somebody close a deal, it may not help them do a certain interaction, but it helps you start a conversation, it helps you get to know somebody, and after all, business is about human beings and social interaction. So I think that's really key as well. So the core of what we've been doing and building towards the Social Studio is this idea of doing listening, publishing, engagement, social customer care, and also going to talk about advertising with you all this afternoon. We assume that we'll be a little bit more sophisticated audience when it comes to paid media. But really bringing those together, being able to tie those to that single view of the customer and leverage all that off of one underlying platform. And so we began this process about a year ago where we had Buddy Media and Radian 6. And our vision was really, how do we bring these together, the strengths of both platforms together, into a unified social platform that was tied very, very deeply to Sales Cloud, to Service Cloud, and to the Marketing Cloud. And that was really the inspiration behind the work that we've done in building Social Studio, was to really have that single user experience, that single layer of data tied into all the different enterprise applications that you're using from the Salesforce family, And that's kind of the core of where we were going and what we've been building. So we started off last December. There may be customers in this room that were part of the pilot that we initially did, where we just had publishing and content marketing capabilities. And the immediate piece of feedback we got from customers was, that's great, I can do outbound content marketing. But my customers are replying and they're engaging in that content. How do I manage that? I want to do that with you guys. So that's when we went in and built engagement and community management, leveraging a lot of the powerful features that we had seen within Radian6 and Buddy Media. And then went on spending a lot of time on social customer care, especially with the Service Cloud team within Salesforce. So I really enabled our customers who use the Service Cloud to take all the technology and the process and the business infrastructure that they were using for their contact center, for web, for email, for voice, for chat, and plugging in social. So I think there's a gentleman from Activision who was speaking earlier today or tomorrow, but Activision runs their social customer care using a combination of our social technologies and the Service Cloud. That's something that we've seen a lot of demand for in the market. And then ultimately, we've started bringing in listing and analysis as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. We've been really, really pleasantly surprised with the amount of adoption that we've had. So when we first made this product generally available in early May, we had a group of about 35 or 40 customers that we'd been beta testing with, and we've seen that number literally grow tenfold over the past few months. And some great brands, some of whom may be represented in the room today. Lauren Vargas from Aetna is going to speak a little bit later. You heard about McDonald's earlier. Citrix and JetBlue, who used us from very early days on. And so we've been spending a lot of time with customers really trying to understand the problems that they had, the problems that they were trying to solve in order to do that. So that's sort of the background of where we've been coming from, the vision behind what we've been building, and the problems that we were trying to solve. And so what we want to do for the majority of the time today is spend time walking you through the product, talking about Social Studio. And to do that, let me bring out my good friend and colleague, Ryan Strnadka.
Great, thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
So it's a pleasure to be here today. I hope you're all enjoying Connections. One of the things that we really like to do is showcase our customers and take a look at how their use cases intersect our technology. And today, we're really excited to showcase Aetna. Aetna, if you're not familiar with them, is a very large healthcare company based here in the United States, serving millions of people and have thousands of employees. So if you think about it, there are a lot of considerations when Aetna has to plan, execute, and deploy their social marketing, community management strategies at scale. So we're going to take a look at that in a demo. All right, so we want to start things off with some big news. Today, for the first time ever, you're seeing the latest, which is ExactTarget Marketing Cloud, social dropdown, and there you can see Social Studio, directly available via seamless navigation. And if we click into Social Studio, one of the things that we can see here are workspaces. Now, workspaces are where all the different divisions, business units, groups, teams within Aetna can collaborate. If you think about an organization like Aetna, there's a lot of scale and planning that they need to think about. So here we have groups for central marketing, for customer support, for corporate communications. And this is where teams work together, sharing content, sharing assets, and creating messages that are going to resonate with their customer community. Now let's deep dive into the central marketing space. You can see here that we've landed in a calendar view. So in this calendar, we can take a look at posts that we've already published and posts that are scheduled for the future. Now, you can see that we also have a note there. It's a little bit hard to read, but in the orange, you can see that it is open enrollment season. If you haven't picked up on my accent, I'm not from Minnesota, from Canada. We don't have an open enrollment, but my American friends tell me that it's pretty exciting. So what we want to do now is show some campaign filtering. So not only can we look at all the content from central marketing, but we can filter by campaign. So let's take a look at our open enrollment campaign. Now you can see here we filtered into a smaller set of posts that are specifically associated with this campaign. And you can see that typically we'd want to post a few times a day, some engaging content. So we have some room to create a new post. So now we'll go to our network contextual composer and create a brand new tweet. So this is going out from our primary Aetna Twitter handle. And when you think about it, we've got to find some good content. Now, I know I saw some great content hit my inbox a couple weeks ago, and it was an infographic. But what I don't want to do, I don't want to have to sift through hundreds of emails to go and find that infographic. And this is where we have content sharing from apps. So our apps, think of it as an ecosystem where we have a number of third-party partners that have plugged in their solution that are available within Social Studio. So we have stock and editorial media apps. We have content discovery, compliance, calls to action. But importantly here, because we have an SDK that's available for development on, we can plug into our eDrive here in the case of Aetna in this custom integration. And there, I can see my innovation infographic that I was thinking about. That gets directly inserted into the post preview. I can see exactly what it's going to look like before it's published. And then I can also do things like add metadata such as campaign tracking labels, schedule it for the future. But in this case, I just want to hit publish. Now, this is an important step because at Aetna, compliance is important. We want to have more than one set of eyeballs looking at the content. We exist in a highly regulated space. So you probably saw from that pop-up that this post was just sent for approval. So now I want to introduce not only the man behind the demo, but our compliance officer, Luke Ball, who's going to take a look at the next steps.
Thanks, Ryan. So as Ryan said, it's a highly regulated industry, insurance, and we have to make sure that we get extra sets of eyes on every post that goes out. Plus, one time, Ryan posted an inappropriate picture of a moose, so I like to keep careful track of what's going out from him. So if I pull up my email here, I'll see I got a post from a post needing my approval. I'll take a look at that in Gmail here, and there's some content. It looks okay, not a moose in sight. I'm going to jump over to Social Studio app where I've got a tasks view that tracks what I need to do. And I see a post here that needs approval. I'll drill in. Everything looks above board here. I can see some metadata about the post, when it was created, who created it, etc., what account it's going to go on. So this looks fine. I'm going to go ahead and approve this. So good job, Ryan. Now, while I'm in here, I also want to pull up my calendar. I can see that that post is now ready to go out and scheduled to go, just published. I can see some other content that's scheduled for later today. So we have one going out at 6 p.m. I've also got some Twitter and Facebook content coming up in the next couple days, so I can get a really quick sort of bird's eye view of what content is going out from our brand. Now, while I'm in here, we all know social is sort of a real-time environment, ever-changing, ever-moving. So I'm going to jump into our Engage view. This is where I see the inbound content from our customers coming in on Facebook, Twitter, and other networks. And I'm scanning through here. There's some good discussion going on, good responses to some content we've already posted. But I also see a product inquiry here. What are the differences between the Aetna Connections plan and the XL plan? Now, I'm on my phone. I know we probably have a link somewhere explaining this, but I don't have access to it. And Ryan actually happens to be the owner of our FAQs and our knowledge repository. So I'm going to actually send this back to him to take care of, because this is completely in his wheelhouse. So I'm going to set the priority to high, because we take it very seriously that we want to pair the members with the right plan for their needs. I'm going to assign this to Ryan. There we go. And I'm actually going to, we have a little notes section with the audit trailer. I'm going to add a note. Hey, Ryan, do you have any links that could help this person? All right, I'm going to post that. And so now I've kind of sent the ball back into Ryan's court. I'm going to go off, catch a plane, and I'm going to leave him to deal with it. So back to you, Ryan.
Great. Thank you, Luke, for approving my post. Now, we're in the calendar view, and Luke not only approved the post, but he gave me something to do. I need to engage. So now with the click of a button, we're going to flip into the engage mode of Social Studio. And you can see here that we've got column-based views here. And the one that we want to look at is the one on the left, because this effectively is my to-do list. These are all the posts that I need to engage on. And at the top of the list, we can see that post that Luke just assigned to me. Now, if we click on that, we can see on the right-hand side, we've not only have the post, but we have all the metadata surrounding the post that helps me do my job. So I can see that it's high priority, it's been assigned to me, and I can see the note that Luke added on there as well. So I want to take action and hit the reply button. And here, I can not only reply, but include the link to the handy FAQ that I have to address this problem. Hit post. That gets sent out. And hopefully we've solved this person's problem not only correctly, but quickly, because that's one of the big tenets of social is we don't want to just respond to people, but there's an expectation of timeliness around that. So let's take a look at some of the other columns. In addition to that task assignment list, we also have our Aetna Facebook page. looking at all the conversations across the page. And we also have, further to the right, our Twitter handle. Now, in particular, there's a post there that stands out to me, and that's the post from Vince. So if we take a look at that in the post editor, we can see that Vince is having a pretty big problem. It's a claims issue. And as a social marketer or a community manager, that's not really in our area of expertise to help solve. And this is where we want to highlight a new feature that we just added a few weeks ago. If you click on macros, what they are essentially time-saving features. What we can do here with a click of a button is hit Send to Salesforce. And what this does is it actually creates a case in the Salesforce Service Cloud that somebody in our customer service team, the contact center, is going to take a look at. They can effectively solve the problem. They can escalate it to other channels such as phone or email. And I can move ahead knowing that that job is taken care of. So we don't want to just look at all of our on-channel conversations. One of the interesting things about social media is that there's a tremendous volume of conversations across the social web. And that's something that we've been building technology for at Radian6 for several years now. And if we add a new column, we want to take a look at that. So if I'm a community manager or social marketer at Aetna, in addition to just looking at my handles, I also want to look at industry conversations. So we're going to open up a listening topic profile here around all the conversations within the healthcare industry. So if we go and add that topic profile to the column, we can see that not only are we looking at tweets and Facebook posts, but we're looking at forum threads. We're looking at blog posts, comments, rich media, all types of content across the social web surrounding the healthcare industry. Now that's important for two reasons. First, as a community manager or a content marketer, social marketer, it gives me context so that I can understand the things that people talk about, the language that people use, and the things that are important right now within that community. And the second reason that it's important is that particularly within community management, I'm going to want to engage in those conversations. I'm going to want to demonstrate advocacy for the Aetna brand, reach out, and participate in these conversations. Okay, so we've taken a look at engagement in a couple different ways. But now, if you think about that post that we just published, let's go back to the calendar, pretend we've fast-forwarded a couple hours into the future, and see how that's performing. Now, we have a whole analytics section, but one of the things that's nice and time-saving around Social Studio is that we can just click on a published post and immediately see the performance. So you can see there's been 238 interactions on this post since we published it. Now, if you recall, at the start, we looked at all the different business divisions within Aetna. And this was published just within one division. So what I want to do here, since it's performing really well, is I want to share this content. Particularly, I have our corporate communications team in mind. So if we hit share content, we can share that with our corporate communications team. We can add a note and then share that out to the team. Okay, and now, if I'm a content marketer that's looking for fresh, new, exciting content that's performing well, if we go into our content sharing space, we can go ahead and see all the posts that have been shared with all the groups, how they're performing, and then I can use that content. Great, so just to recap what we've done, we've taken a look at how different business units and divisions can work together. We've published some compelling content. We've engaged on that in a few different ways, and then we've demonstrated content sharing. So now we want to pause the demo for a minute because we have a special guest here. Really happy to introduce Lauren Vargas, who's the head of community and social at Aetna. Lauren, great to have you with us today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Great. Now, we saw in that demo a number of features that have to do with approvals, scheduling, team-based collaboration. Wanted to get your view on governance, compliance. How does that really work at Aetna, and what are the important priorities that people in the room should think about?
We've spent several years putting together our governance structure, policy, process, training, and a lot of this that we were doing to kind of shove the pieces together, not necessarily fit very smoothly, as we've had strings of emails and several different types of communication back and forth, Excel spreadsheets. So it's nice to be able to see everything start to come into one platform. That policy and process that we've put in place, actually seeing it come to life, come to action across all the various roles and responsibilities through the organization. As you mentioned before, we have 45,000 employees. We have a lot of different departments that want to understand and start to participate in the social culture. And the only way they're going to do that is to get their feet wet. And this is the perfect way to help them feel comfortable, familiar in the space, as well as us feel comfortable from a compliance perspective.
Great. Now, one of the things we didn't touch on the demo, but I know it's a hot topic for you and within the industry, is we know that organically the posts that we publish are only reaching a certain percentage of the total audience. So can you tell us, what should we be thinking about advertising, and how does that work at Aetna as well?
It's definitely become a pay-to-play environment over the last 8 to 10 months for some industries, even longer than that. And what we really need to come to grips with is that all of our content needs to be harmonized. And so our organic and paid content lives within my team, lives in one location. We do work with agencies, different groups across the organization, but it's nice to be able to build and to see what that cadence of organic versus paid content is, how we react in real time to how these different types of content are performing. So to see it all in one location is the ideal.
Great. Now, we looked at publishing, we looked at engagement, we did some collaborating. In that demo that you saw, what's missing?
Well, we begin and end all of our social efforts with listening. So I would say listen.
Great. Well, we've got one more thing to show you. If we can go back to the demo, we'd like to show you a sneak preview in what we're doing with listening. So what we're showing here, if we hit the Analyze tab, we can see a gallery of dashboards. Now, we talked earlier today about open enrollment. Let's take a look at that. So quickly, with a click of a button, we can see not only the individual posts, but all the aggregate view of the conversations. This is for social marketers that want a snapshot of what are the hot topics, what are the words that are being expressed, how are these changing over time, what is the sentiment, and who's driving the conversations, who should we reach out to? So in a quick snapshot, we're able, within one application, to do broad listening, use that to inform new content, and after that content goes out, be able to engage and continue to drive that conversation within the community. So Lauren, any thoughts or reactions on that quick preview?
Well, we definitely know that listening is a huge part of the game. And like I said before, it begins and ends with that. And so being able to see and react in real time across different workspaces, across different departments, this is great for us to really be able to respond and put our customer first.
Great, thank you. Now, one last question. As we round out 2014 and head into 2015, what advice would you give people in the room around social marketing, community management? What are the things that are top of mind for you as you plan out the rest of your year?
I think if anybody knows me, the thing I'm going to say is governance. I don't think that's new, but it's something we definitely need to think about. We're in the perfect time of year, and as several of you see this platform for the first time, or as you start to bring it into your organization, you definitely want to start thinking about how does the policy and process that I've already put into place, how does it affect this particular platform? How are we actually bringing all of the different parts of the organization into one sandbox? How do we get us all to play together and off of the same song sheet? And so doing an audit of your digital ecosystem, really understanding what belongs in your digital ecosystem, everything from policy, process, to all of the engagement workflows that you've built, this is the ideal opportunity to really make sure that your structure is sound so that no matter what changes happen, nobody has the crystal ball of what's going to happen in 2015, but that we can react to that novel stimuli.
Great, thank you. That's fantastic advice. And back over to you, Greg.
Thank you very much. Hand for Lauren. Thank you. It's very interesting listening to Lauren talk, because I think of you as like the prototypical example when we have our product team and our design team who are thinking about how we build product. We have personas that we think about, and it's people like Lauren who have gone from 3 or 4 years ago running the community themselves, managing all this social analysis, to now really empowering the rest of the organization, helping establish governance models, and really going from that doer role to that strategist, enablement, governance type of role that I think we see as a very common pattern across the industry. Now, one thing that I've heard Lauren say before is she's looking to help drive social into the rest of the business, is that really the social journey begins with listening. And this is one of the things we've really been trying to work closely with the ExactTarget customers and helping to understand is how can you leverage social data and social insights more broadly inside your company? And frankly, to start just inside marketing, right? Like even if you're a traditional email marketer, there's a tremendous amount of insight that all the conversations on social can help you understand and refine your messaging, your campaigns, and get better ROI across all the different channels, social notwithstanding. So one thing that we have been doing with a number of customers we wanted to offer up for all of you today is doing an assessment, sort of a listening and brand assessment of your company and your products and services. Because what we see customers do with this data is very interesting. They get the sort of actionable insights where they can go in and they can refine and tune their marketing campaigns and their marketing messages. They can see what customer feedback they're getting on those messages, and they can tune and improve things to get better ROI. They can also uncover whole new business opportunities. So we've seen a number of customers go out and fundamentally change their products based on social input. One of the interesting stories we talk about is Skittles. There's any Skittles fans in the room? I love candy. I have a sweet tooth. Explains some things probably in my life. But Skittles changed the flavor of their green Skittle a few years ago. I always get this wrong. I can't remember if it was from green apple to lime or lime to green apple. But one of the things that they did as part of that process is they listened when they first started rolling it out to try and understand what the feedback of the community was. We have another customer I remember who the consumption of their product and the social conversations of their product were very heavily skewed towards early in the week. Their products were consumed over the weekend. So they completely changed their digital advertising strategy to shift more of their ad spend earlier in the week. And so these types of things, they come from listening data and analysis, but they can inform lots of other business decisions that you make. You think about, looking at competitors and what's going on with conversations and customers about competitors in your category. And so if you'd like, we'd be happy to sit down. We can do an assessment of your brand, your competitors, your category, bring it to you and have a discussion around how other customers are using listening data and listening insights to help you think about how social can pertain to your business. If you want, feel free to text LISTEN to 56237. If you include your email address, we can pull together an analysis report, and we'd be happy to sit down and walk you through that. The second thing that we've seen a lot of is how customers are asking, how do I bring the voice of the customer inside my company? Because certainly if you're in a business-to-business scenario, your sales teams are out interacting with customers all the time, but 90% of your company isn't. If you're a business-to-consumer industry, you may never have direct insight or direct contact with customers. So bringing the voice of the customer inside your organization and exposing that to a broader set of people who might be outside of marketing or outside of sales can be really key. And so we have a number of customers, probably on the order of 75 or 100 different customers now who have command centers inside their organization. So when you walk out the door here and you go over to the left, I'd encourage you to take a look. We've got the big video wall that's probably right over there. And you can see some of the different screens that are sort of summarizing the conversations that are happening during the Connections conference. But that can be the type of insight that you can bring inside your organization. I will tell you, executives absolutely love this stuff. They love the fact that as they walk in their office every day, they can get a snapshot of what their customers are saying about them. They love the fact that when they have customers in to visit, they can show them they're listening to what they have to say. If any of you have ever been out to the Salesforce office in San Francisco, you cannot go to an EBC without getting a tour of the command center. It is a guaranteed spot on the agenda. And so I think it's a great way to bring the voice of the customer into your organization. And then the last area I'd mention, especially for those of you who have been longtime ExactTarget customers, is really to think about what Lauren mentioned around paid social content. And especially because one thing that you can do with the ExactTarget Marketing Cloud that's very different than any other paid players in the space is leverage your customer data. So think about the fact you've probably built up databases of millions and millions and millions of email subscribers. And what you can now do is you can take those databases and securely and privately basically connect them with social networks like Facebook and Twitter, and they can see if those customers have those email addresses matching in their profiles on those social networks. So think of it this way. You can basically take your email marketing list and you can say, I want to go advertise to these people on Facebook and Twitter. You can also create what they call lookalike audiences. So if you have greg.johnson@salesforce.com, you can go give that to Facebook and say, I want to advertise to people that look like Greg. So 5'11", dashing, attractive, handsome. No, but they can look and say, look, I want somebody who is, a white Caucasian, 35 to 40 years old, has these particular interests, this particular demographic. So this is a great way to take all the data that you have and you've built over these years and find a completely new channel to go get ROI out of it. So this has been really popular with active audiences. Being able to combine that rich customer knowledge, combine in social data, and then do very precise targeting, both on the desktop web or in mobile. Again, we showed this morning how people are just using mobile Facebook, mobile Twitter. It's a core part of everybody's daily mobile lives. And really, this goes back to that advertising being based on people. It's not based on cookies or clicks. It's based on who you are and all the different things that you express through social. So that can be very powerful. So we'll wrap up by just again reemphasizing, I think what our vision is and what we're really trying to help all of you do is manage your entire social strategy on one platform. Listening, publishing, engaging, care, and advertising. And a platform for social that is tied into sales, service, and marketing. Because ultimately where we see the industry going is really being able to drive that end-to-end consumer engagement experience. And social is a unique and compelling channel inside that. So with that, we'll wrap it up. We'll stick around. Feel free to come ask us for questions afterwards. Otherwise, appreciate you making the trip to Indianapolis and look forward to connecting with you and hope you guys enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you very much.